Today, we're diving into the 5 things that you really don't need to do if you're preparing to list your house for sale. My name is Jarrett Richards with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties, specializing in coastal properties and luxury lifestyles. Now, with that said, if you want to help me support my dog's lifestyle and you are looking to buy, sell, or lease, go ahead and contact me. I would love to be able to help you find the dream property or sell your property. Now, with that said, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more videos, because I do try to put out content that is actually helpful for buyers and sellers and everyone else that is looking for real estate related content in coastal Orange County. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the 5 things you really don't need to do when selling your home. Point number 1 is going to be roof repairs. Now, of course, if there's any leaks and major issues, well, in California, you can sell as is. I did another video that is about selling your home as is, which could be a potential quote unquote flip, ideal for an investor or ideal for a family that's looking to actually build their dream home and make it theirs. But go watch that video, because in this video, I'm talking about minor things where you're like, oh, my roof is old, it's 20 years old, 25 years old. You really don't need to do a complete replacement, especially if there's only a few things wrong with it. I do encourage potentially beginning a home inspection, a termite inspection beforehand, just so that way you can see what you're going to be dealing with before buyers go through the same exact process later down the road once escrow is open. So that way you could potentially handle any of the major things that you really absolutely need to. But in this case, don't spend the money on a complete roof repair if it's just an old roof and it's just like a few minor details. Skip out on it, save the money. But again, if it's in horrible shape, do it if you absolutely need to. But especially if it's a faulty roof, like there's leaks, there's major water damage and other issues, then look into it, or at the very least, just disclose it up front. Don't do the repairs, and consider that when pricing your home. Point number 2 is going to be partial repairs. If you're gonna do something, give it your all or don't do it at all. Especially if you're not selling a home as is. Again, if it's a flip, this is all different. So everything that I'm gonna be talking about from this point forward, so I don't have to keep mentioning that, is gonna be different if you're selling a home that is a complete need of a complete tear down, rehab, etc. In this case, I'm talking about a home that may be 20 years old, 30 years old, something like that. You've been living in it, everything's in working condition. If you started to essentially, let's say, redo the stairs, but didn't finish it for some reason, or let's say you started to redo some of the electrical and you have wires sticking out of the outlets, don't leave those repairs halfway completed, because when you bring the home to the market, buyers are going to be picky about those things, believe it or not. They just are, especially if they're safety hazards and stuff like that. So if there's anything major, of course, disclose, because there's always case-by-case scenarios where it may not make sense to complete the work that was started or that is needed. But in this case, I'm talking about something minor where, like, let's say you started to repaint the property and you got halfway done and you got lazy, or something came up and you didn't finish it and then you decided to list the property halfway painted. Obviously, that's a silly example, but that's really what I'm talking about. Don't do partial repairs, do it fully or don't do it at all, because it will make a difference. So don't do a partial repair if you don't need to. The next one is gonna be a major bathroom and kitchen renovation. Now, I do have different companies that I work with where they could literally fund the entire project for you to be able to renovate the kitchen, some of the other parts of the home, and the bathrooms, and actually basically do the entire thing A to Z, get the home on the market in a very quick time frame, and you're not paying anything out of pocket. And it's a pretty good time frame before you're paying any interest on the property, because they make their money once that property is sold. So once escrow closes, that's where they make their money. So that's always a great option, because right now what we're seeing is a lot of buyers really want turnkey options. But that doesn't mean that there's families out there that want turnkey. There's a lot of people that still don't want turnkey. They want homes where they can make it their own. And of course, you have the investors and all those other wonderful buyer groups out there that don't want turnkey. So one of the things is, I've seen a lot of sellers do complete renovations to the bathroom and the kitchen. And like, if I'm talking about, or if we're talking about like painting and doing maybe some new appliances, maybe we're talking about ripping out like the sinks and like the faucets, all of that stuff I consider more cosmetic. Yes, do those repairs or little updates, because those will make a huge difference. They're minor details, they're not going to break the bank. Essentially, it will make a big difference, but I'm talking about a complete renovation where you're gutting things, you're having to get permits and all that other wazoo, because you're just not going to see the return of investment. It's very unlikely that you will. Not saying that you won't, because of course I'm in escrow right now on a property. They did a phenomenal job with all the renovations, and essentially it's great. The buyers are super happy. So I'm not saying that you won't get the return of investment. I'm just saying that if you go too far with the renovations and the work that you're doing, you could run the risk of going over budget, doing something that buyers don't actually like, and not ever see the return of investments, which is kind of important when selling your home. Point number 4 is going to be more so for older neighborhoods, because one of the challenges with being in an older neighborhood is you don't want to have the best home on the block, because that's difficult to sell. You don't always see the return on investment there. So especially if your neighborhood is a little bit more dated, or it has a specific style, take that into consideration with anything that you may do with the property before you bring it to the market, because you really don't want to have the best house on the block when it comes to a completely different style that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, of course, I'm talking about things that would be like, let's say you're in a community where a lot of the homes are built in like the 30s and 60s and stuff like that, and no other homes have been renovated to modern homes, where let's say the average price is 1.6, and you come in and you build a home and essentially it's like a $2.8 million property. I'm not saying that that's a horrible thing to do, but the challenge with that is when you're early to the game like that, there's a lot of people that also look at the surrounding neighborhood when making a decision when buying a property. So you don't always want to have the best property on the worst block. I'm not putting down any neighborhoods, but do take into consideration what the overall neighborhood, community, and vibe is like before you do any major renovations to the property that could potentially set your home aside and make it stick out, rather than actually aiding to providing more return investment, more money when you actually sell the property. Keep in mind all these small details. I know it's tedious, it sounds kind of stupid, but it is one thing to consider, because I have seen people not listen and their home sits because they have the best home on kind of a weird location, or what they could have potentially done is essentially did the small minor things, optimize budget, get it sold for a reasonable price, and made a damn good killing on that return of investment instead of going too far beyond on what they did through renovations, selling it for here and having a smaller profits. Just something that I kind of look and consider, especially for clients that I'm helping on the investment side of things. Flooring. Now, if you have ugly, just dirty carpet, rip that sucker up and essentially look at something like vinyl wood, because that is durable. It's great for dogs, it's great for kids, it's great with water, it looks gorgeous. I have it, I love it. But at the same time, if you have wood and you want to keep wood, especially because there's certain homes that it does make sense to have wood, actually like luxury properties and stuff like that, don't always feel the need to go and rush into ripping out the flooring, because you don't always need to do that. Honestly, there's a lot of buyers who do have what they would want for flooring in mind, and the small things like that, a lot of buyers still don't mind doing, even if they want something turnkey. They could come in, change out the flooring, because flooring isn't all that expensive. But at the same time, you don't want to come in, spend a whole lot of money on flooring just to turn off a buyer's interest because they were looking for something else. Or you tell them about how you have brand new wood floors and they're like, I kind of wanted something like vinyl, or I wanted stone, or I wanted marble, tile, etc. Right? So something to keep in mind is if you do have just absolutely horrid flooring, carpet, and it needs repairs and it's not walkable, rip that sucker up, do something that's cost effective. Do not break the bank on flooring. It just doesn't make sense. You're not likely to see the return of investment. If you're in luxury properties, completely different, because you do want to keep in mind what trending styles are in place, but also keep in mind that sometimes trends, what's hot now isn't going to be hot in 12 months from now. So you don't want to overcompensate with what's also trending. Don't rush to rip out the floors. If anything, just refurbish the wood. Sometimes buyers that come in and look at an older home appreciate a home that has been taken care of with original condition flooring, or flooring that's a little bit older with a couple of years on it, but has been taken care of. These are just 5 minor things to keep in mind when selling that you don't really need to do or spend too much money on or too much time and energy on, when selling your property. Be sure to go check out the other videos that I did that emphasize the things that you need to do or things that you need to consider and keep in mind before you actually sell a property. And as always, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. I am striving to put out more content like this that's going to be able to help buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants, and everyone in between, even people who are just looking to see what OC real estate is like as we dive into some exclusive home tours and everything else. And of course, if you're looking to buy, sell, or lease out your property, go ahead and contact me at 949-405-4455. Again, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.